Yo, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through another meetup that we have live in one of our Miami offices here. And you're going to see people asking questions about wholesaling real estate, about fixing and flipping, how to analyze properties, how to do buy and rents, all these types of things. We discuss it live here in the meetup. I show my screen up here. You can see behind the scenes exactly what we're doing. Like that, you can copy and paste all the methods. Here are the questions that the students have to answer. They're probably the same questions that you might have, and take away from it so you can go and crush and get your next real estate deal ASAP.
Like 250 ARV.
Okay.
Kind of like, what you had instructed on, because you want to look for those types of properties.
Yeah. So I'll back up a quick second. So the reason we're doing all this is to find a distressed homeowner or to find a discounted house. And before we do that, we have to understand who are these people selling a house that's discounted. And it's typically people with some kind of financial distress. Some people with some examples are people that their houses are vacant. Maybe it's a second home, a vacation home, or it could be an investment property they had. Could have been a property that was inherited, a probate. Maybe they got divorced. All these things lead to motivation or lead to distress. And so this is the reason we use this platform, is to buy a list, which ends up being like a spreadsheet of people who have a higher chance of being distressed. Therefore, we can call them and potentially make them an offer on their house. So basically, you go to quick list choices and you go here, you put, oh, this is vacant land, where's vacant? Vacant right here. Boom, so you see, we just put vacant. These are all the houses that the system thinks is vacant. And the way they do that, to not get like so deep into it, they basically cross-reference, I think USPS, and they see if
No mail.
they have no mail or they did a change of mailing address, things like that. So once you do that, let's just leave it vacant to like kind of for the sake of time. So notice there's 6,503 properties in Orlando that are vacant. So you can literally like just click here, boom, add to list, and then you get those 6,503 on a spreadsheet. And now you can either send them mail, you can get their phone numbers and call them, you can go knock on their door, and you have well, you would want to go knock on vacant doors because you're not gonna do much there. So this was like step one or step two that Corey did to get the house. What he did was he got this list on a spreadsheet. And do you remember who you used for the skip tracing? Use the Fiverr guy I sent you? Or?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
So once you get that spreadsheet, what that spreadsheet has is names, the owner's names, their address, and their mailing address. That's it. That's all this list right here gives you. But you can send it to another company, that spreadsheet, and then they'll give you their phone numbers. So now once you have their phone number, for a price obviously. So now once you have their phone numbers, now you can call them, you text them, etc. Right? So you can see the power of that. Now, we do this, and this is like my business advice, but if you're interested, I definitely consider talking to like an attorney, because it is great for sure to do cold calling and cold texting. But I'm just giving you kind of my business advice. We do it all the time. But there's a little risk factor to it. But anyway, so you could call, what Corey did was he called a bunch of these people. The lady answered, and roughly run us through like how the conversation, do you remember like that first call, like how the conversation was?
Yeah, I was cold calling probably for like 30 days before I really got some traction. And she actually, and every time that I cold call, I leave voicemails too.
Okay.
Voicemail drops just to put extra touch because people might not answer. And so she got my voicemail and she called me back maybe like a few days later. And I didn't answer, but she left me a voicemail saying, hey, I'm interested in selling. I got your call or whatever. So I called her back and just kind of built rapport, relationship, asked the questions. And she was definitely a motivated seller because she had actually just got something in the mail from the city that she had a few code violations pending on the property. So she's like, oh my goodness, I can't afford to pay $5,000 or $10,000 a day fine on this, so I really need to sell. And I think she said she was going to call back a few other investors, so I knew there was urgency there. So then I contacted you about the deal, and pretty much it took maybe 2 or 3 phone calls to lock up the deal, got the paperwork signed. But she was definitely motivated and ready to go. Property had been vacant for years, and it's like definitely a lot of problems stacked in on top of the house, because it's just showing vacant here, but it turns out her brother had passed away, so probate plus code violations plus it's vacant, plus a lot of other stuff. So just a
This is the
definition
house
of a motivated seller.
This is the house also, so you guys can have some context. It's what, this one here?
Yeah.
So
It's been vacant for
it's a nice looking
10
house. Like
years,
it's,
yeah.
it's in Orlando. It's a nice looking house. So Corey called her. Then he hit me up, and I think he asked me like, "Oh, what price should I offer?" Then we went back and forth. I said, I think this would be a good price for a wholesale deal. And was it like the next day or something they got it, or like that same day? I can't remember.
Either same day or next
It's
day.
either like the same day or the next day. He's like, I got it under contract. I'm like, awesome. So then the story gets better. So he got under contract. I'm like, okay, this is where I can help you. Like, I have a bunch of buyers here. You got it for, remind me?
150,000.
You got it for 150,000, and it's worth
300.
300.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
280 to 300.
280 to 300. We should look up what it's. I don't even want to look up what it's worth now. It's probably great.
How
I'll get
about
pissed.
the
I want to buy it.
probate, and how about the violations?
Yeah. So we didn't really know about, like, she told us, but when we got it, the violations still hadn't existed yet.
It was like
Oh, yeah.
pending.
Yeah, it was like pending. So we're like, okay. So then I found a buyer. We sent it out to a couple of our buyers that we have there, and then one ended up making us a full price offer at a $40,000 profit. So he got it for 150. We sold it for 190. And so we're like, okay, great. Signed it. The guy sent the deposit. Wonderful. Then the story starts to take a turn. So this is why I bring this story up, because up to now, this is like, wow, this is like a dream come true. This guy calls for a couple days, makes $40,000. Like, whoa, like what the heck? Is selling drugs? So, but it gets better. So then we got the buyer. Everything's good. It goes to the title company. So once you buy and sell a property, it has to go through a title company to close. We send it, then the title company tells us, hey, it needs to complete the transaction, it needs to go through probate process, because she inherited it.
It was her brother that passed away last October, and they didn't do the probate process.
Okay, so her brother passed away. I guess the house belonged to her, but she was not on title, etc. And to make it even better, the lady decides to go to Thailand. So she's in Thailand, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so she's in Thailand. Okay.
I forgot that part. Yeah, international too.
Yeah, she's not even like, in Cuba or something. She's in Thailand, okay? Like not even same time zone. And so Corey has to communicate with this lady, at different hours. I don't know what time it is over there, but
Like 12 hours in.
so whatever. She ends up saying, okay, I'm ready to do the probate. Probate is just a fancy word for saying somebody died and I need to go to court to get the property. So she hires an attorney. We go through that. After like 3 months of that happening, because it takes that long. After 3 months, boom, we get the probate approved. Yes, let's go. The buyer's ready to go. We even get the buyer to pay more money, because the time went on. I said, hey man, look, the market's gone up like crazy. Could you pay like $5,000 more? He said yes. Even better story. Then the violations pop up. Fuck. So then we gotta fix the violations, and the buyer says, oh, I'll do it for $5,000 less. So we're back. And this is just so you guys understand like what happens real life on a real deal that we're working. So then the violations pop up. What happens next? Let me think. Oh, and then so we're like, okay, the buyer's gonna take up the violations, we're ready to close. And then they say, oh, since she lives in Thailand, she's international, we need her to sign an IRS document saying that she's gonna pay $15,000 of her profit to the IRS. She starts freaking out, like, I didn't know this, what the heck? Yeah, but it's the law. Like, if you live in Thailand or you live internationally and you don't have a U.S. citizenship or residence, the U.S. government doesn't know if you're gonna pay your taxes. They don't want someone in Thailand profiting in the US and not paying taxes. So it just has to happen. Corey got on the phone with her. It was an uncomfortable conversation. Got it done. Awesome. Now we're ready to close again. Then they say, okay, but now we need that paper signed and notarized by her. And we're like, okay, but she's like in Bangkok or something like that. I don't know notary over there. So I don't even know if Bangkok's in Thailand. Is it? So anyways, now we're in that little thing. I think she just signed and notarized it, right?
Yeah, then I had to find a CPA that specialized in that. So it's called FERPTA.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a property under contract with somebody that's a non-US citizen, it will have to go through that process.
Yeah.
And,
So to not go so nerdy in it, it's just a lot of struggles to end up making the $40,000. Not all deals, obviously this happens, but I thought it was a really good case study of someone who just started. This was his first deal that after 30 days of calling, how many hours would you say worth of calling you put in before you like lock this one up?
I'd have to go back and double check, but
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't happen easy. I mean,
No.
4 months of calling, maybe
Full month
you know,
of calling.
4 hours a day, 2 to 4 hours a day.
So 4 hours a day for a month. For Monday through Friday or Monday?
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. So just so you have an idea. So yeah, thank you for sharing and helping with that. So this is just something to show you that something real life. We literally we talked about it today, yesterday. This is the house. So
And is there, I'm sorry to cut you off, is there any way to avoid that 3-month long process of then once you get it out of probate, they tell you this then? Like, why not? Like, how, is there a way to be proactive about that?
to some extent yes, and to some extent no. Like you can't really control a lot of that stuff. You could be proactive, but it's gonna take what it's gonna take. Like if she lived here, we would have been closed already. But to send the document takes 2 weeks. To find a notary took a week. And then to schedule it at the time zones, it's just taking a while because of that.
But yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, these are definitely things to just take notes of and like just know that.
Just know, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So this is like why I bring this up. Like sometimes just know that your money might not come in 30 days. It might come in 6 months or 4 months. It just happens, you know. So thanks for sharing that. But yeah, so this is a deal that we were working on. Let me see what else we got going on. Any questions on some of this stuff, guys?
Yeah, real quick. So he made $40,000. Does he have? Do you have to pay a certain percent to the IRS when you go? You know, like is it 15% on a gain because he actually gained money
Yeah.
on the sale?
Yeah, so it would come out as just like an active income. Just like if you sold a computer and a bunch of computers and made 40 grand, the same thing. But what you could do is just like a business. So he has an LLC, the money goes to the LLC, and then you can write expenses and things like that.
Okay, so that's a good question. You mentioned LLC because I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
I have an LLC that I started on last year, you know, for a property. Now, if I want to start buying properties, and so what I understood is, if I buy under my LLC, I'm paying way too much money, something like that. And then, but if I buy it under my name, and later on, I guess I can quit claim deed it to my LLC.
Right. It really depends on your strategy. They probably told you that regarding financing.
Right, finance.
Yeah, because if you buy it under an LLC, financing is more expensive.
Correct.
Like your interest rate's higher.
Correct. That's what they told me. Okay, so.
Yeah, so like I just bought a house under my personal name and the interest rate was like a 3.6, and I just bought a house under an LLC and it's like a 4.2 or something.
Okay.
So I think that's why they're telling you, which is fine. But like let's say you're gonna flip a house,
Right.
it's better to put in an LLC because you could write expenses on that house. So if you made 40, you say you put 20 in repairs, now you only get charged for 20.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, good, thanks.
Welcome.
How
Thanks. But also, I'm not an accountant, so I don't.
So did he need to have the capital initially?
No, great question. No. So this property, how it works is that we sign a purchase agreement with the homeowner. This was through DocuSign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we sent it through email, DocuSign. She signs it, he signs it, and what was that escrow deposit you put in the contract?
$100.
$100 deposit. So that's what comes out of pocket, basically. That's it.
So it's all that she believes that you're going to buy it
That's right.
without you having any cash in hand
Right.
that she knows of.
Right.
And then you trying to sell it quickly
Right.
to somebody else for them to actually
They put the cash.
do the cash.
Yeah. So
But
we.
then the contract has to change again to their name because it was under your name.
Right.
I just, you know.
No, it's good. It's good how you go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the assignment of contract paper.
Uh-huh.
That's how we change it from his name to the other name.
Uh-huh.
And on that paper, it says like, it doesn't really say his price, but it says your price, Mr. Buyer, you're paying $190,000, and there is an assignment fee, which is the $40,000 profit in this case. And then that piece of paper goes to the title company. They read it and they put everything on the closing statement.
So how much did he lose? Because he had to pay the title company, he had to pay the fines, he had to pay the.
The buyer's paying for all that. So Corey makes $40,000.
Okay,
net.
either which way. And
And then-
if you want it, you gotta do all the other stuff.
Correct. The buyer.
Oh, man.
But the buyer's gonna. I mean, we can look this up real quick. I think it's worth probably like $300,000 at this point, and he got it for $190. Let's see.
Yeah, when he puts it.
And the house is pretty, like, it's pretty nice. It's in nice shape. Oh, something broke on Zillow. Awesome. Let's see, realtor.com. Let's see here. It's a 3.2, 1,800 square feet, 8,000 square foot lot. You see 315. Preliminary offer from Open Door. You guys heard of Open Door? No, okay. It's an interesting company. Open Door is like what they call an iBuyer. They're a company, huge, like they have billions of dollars, and all they do is buy houses, and they do it like you do it all through online. It's the craziest thing ever. So anyways, so Open Door
They're going
preliminary
faster
offer.
than you.
That what?
They're going faster than you.
Oh yeah, 1,000 times. And they pay way more than us too.
They're not closing as quick though.
No, they don't close as quick. There's a couple little things that's annoying about them, but crazy. So let's say that we knock it down a little bit and it's worth 300. The guy's buying it for 190. He's probably gonna put like 30 grand into it, and so he'll make a pretty healthy profit.
Yeah.
So everybody wins.
Win-win.
So what you get with this company or this strategy is not so much profit because you wanna like hot potato it quickly.
Exactly. With zero money or with little money. So yeah, that's a good question. Like the way we see it is just like the velocity of money. So if we can only put $100 deposit, and let's say the phone numbers, the program, all that costs us another $1,000. Let's say $2,000. So for $2,100, right? $2,000 for the programs, the phone numbers, and $100 deposit, and then we make 40. That's a business I can run. Yeah. So that's the name of the game. That makes sense, everyone? You guys follow me? I know we went like deep fast, and so if you have any questions about like wholesale or the process, feel free to like back me up, and I'll be more than happy to explain. I want to talk a little bit about your deal. I didn't know much about it, so tell us about. You just did a deal in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So another like sector of this, right? Like, so notice, Corey, you live here in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
This deal's in Orlando. So, this concept of wholesaling real estate can also be a little bit more broad than what we call virtual wholesale, which is buying and selling properties quickly in markets that we don't know or we don't drive to. So he also lives in Miami and just did a deal in Kentucky. So tell us a little bit about it. Like, how did you find that deal?
Yeah, so the lead came in, PPC, that's like Google Ads and stuff.
Google advertising?
Yeah, initially came in, I remember like on a Saturday, and it was like a mobile home, right? It was like a mobile home deal, and the lady owned the land on it. So I was like, okay, she owns the
I don't
land.
know if I spelled this right. So this is what he means by PPC, Google Ads. So if someone types in "sell my house, Kentucky," his ad was one of these at the time. You could pay, Open Doors everywhere. You can pay to be on one of these top spots. Do any of you guys have some experience with that before? No? It's a little confusing in the beginning, but if you take a couple days or whatever, buy a course, like learn it, it's, you know, it could be really interesting.
Yeah.
So my bad. So you were one of these.
Exactly. So what was really tough for me was learning comparables.
Okay.
Because it was, you know, it's a mobile home deal that had land and there was just nothing to compare it to in the area. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try to get it under contract. And then let me find out through buyers in the area what's a good buying price, right? So I got it under contract for $70,000 that same day. And then I started realizing that in the area, you can't click on to see what properties I've sold for, but you can see like who are like the homeowners of the properties.
Yeah.
So I saw that a mobile home company was purchasing properties in that area, and I was like, that's exactly who I gotta call. They had like 3 properties on like literally like the same street. So I was like, okay, I gave them a call, and they wanted to go see the house. I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, you know what, you know, they could try to get the deal underneath me, but I was like, whatever, you know, what's the worst that could happen? They went, and I ended up signing the contract for $78,000.
It's 8K. It's 8,000. So, in a quick little synopsis of what he said, he paid to be on the Google ad like this. Someone searched Summer House Fast Kentucky or something like that. They clicked it. They filled out his little form, put their name, their address. He got the call or he got the email. He called them and said, "Hey, I got your form. See, you want to sell your house? Like, how can I help you?" And what was their motivation? This week? Remember?
They didn't live in the property and they wanted to move out.
So it's a vacant house. So you can see a theme here, right? Like vacant properties, some people are motivated to sell. And a lot of us in this room are, I remember me when I started, I was wondering like, why would anyone sell me their house so cheap, right? Like that Orlando house was worth 300 and she sold it to court for 150. Why? Like why? You know, in my mind in the beginning, I'm like, it doesn't fit. I don't understand. But you have to understand that a lot of people in this world are not involved in real estate, nor do they care to be. You know, if you have like an old car that's in your garage that you hate, or you know, your wife, your husband has like an old piece of crap thing, you just want it gone, right? You just want it gone. There might be someone that's like, oh my God, like why would you sell this car for $500? It's worth like $2. I don't care, I just want the thing gone, okay? A lot of people do this with their homes. A lot of people. So once you get over that little mental hurdle of like, okay, why would someone sell me the house so cheap? Well, just know that it exists. There's people out there that do it for many, many reasons, and mainly it's just to get kind of like peace of mind. I want to get rid of this house. How much did you pay for the Kentucky house, or how much was the?
$70K or something.
70,000. So for some people, I mean, it's a lot of money. In general, it's a lot of money, but for some people, it's like life-changing money. Like, I want to sell this house for Kentucky, get 70,000, and I'm gonna buy myself a Harley and a trailer for 15 grand, and I'm gonna have 30,000 in the bank, and I'm gonna live the rest of my freaking life. But literally, it happens. Okay, so basically, he got this house, and then he found a buyer that was buying houses in that area. How'd you find it on Zillow?
No, PropStream.
On PropStream, okay. So on PropStream, you could also find buyers the same way we find sellers. They found them, called them up, and the rest was history. Made $8,000. How long did it take from start to finish?
Just got the check today.
You just got to check it in. Nice.
Yeah, because
Congrats.
actually, my mother had passed away, and they went through the probate process, but I guess it was never like put into the system.
Oh, okay.
So that ended up being, you know, a couple weeks delay right there.
Okay, so it took like 2 months.
Probably 2 months. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 months start to finish, made $8,000. How much did it cost you, like the Google advertising? Do you know? You spending money on it? You're not, or you are?
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, that's a complicated question, but whatever. It does cost you a little bit of money to make money. It's not like you're making $8,000 or $40,000 for free. You gotta invest. Number one, your time, making calls and stuff. You gotta invest in a list, a program. So I'm not preaching this like get rich quick with no investment or anything. No, there is some money you gotta put in and some work and stuff. Any questions on his story there, on how he made that work?
Was it vacant or did they have tenants in there? Oh, it was.
I have some questions, but it has to do more like fix and flip and stuff like that.
Cool. You guys, any of you guys interested in fix and flips, like learning how to fix and flip a little bit? Okay, yeah, fire away.
So when it comes to like fix and flip, let's say you're running comparables, right? Let's say you got a house like less than like a 0.1 mile away, but it's not in the same subdivision, do you still kind of base yourself off of those comparables, or?
Yeah, typically yes.
Yeah.
So what you're asking is, okay, how do I know the value of the house I'm buying? Right, I'm buying. Let's use this one for example.
Yeah, because if it's in the same subdivision, it's like golden, but I feel like sometimes when you're starting off like me, it's like, do I risk it? Do I not?
So for example, let's say our house is here. So this might be 0.1, but this right here might be a different subdivision. So subdivision is just like a fancy word for saying border. Yeah, perfect. Border. It's like a lot block. Back in the day, when there was no houses and there was just land, the way they would sell land is in subdivisions. So developers would go to the auction or to an office, like the county. And the county would say, okay, we have 15 subdivisions for sale today in Orlando. This subdivision is called, Buena Vista. This subdivision is called Opalaca, whatever. And then that's how they would sell it in subdivisions. And then different developers, one developer might buy all of them, 10 developers might buy 10. So that's why houses were made a little bit differently. So, but overall, since it's so close, yes, I would use it. I would try not to pass major highways or roads. So if your house is here and the other house is here, I would not consider that as a comp. But you get me? Like, this is still relatively the same neighborhood. So, I mean, obviously your property, you just have to use your best judgment, but that's how I would say. To your question, because valuing properties is the skill that you have to learn in this game to make the most amount of money. Because if you make them the wrong offer, the homeowner, if it's too high or if it's too low, if it's too high and you get it and you can't sell it, you don't make a profit.
Yeah.
If it's too low, then they might say fuck off and you don't get anything, which is normal, but just you to be aware. Always the lower the better. You gotta play with it a little bit.
And is there a formula to calculate, give you a way better understanding of what you can possibly make off of these deals?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So let's take the example of this one, the Lyco rice, the Corey's deal. So we said that it was worth 300, right? We said 315, we took off 15 just to play with it a little bit. The real basic formula that you guys will see online and stuff is you get the full value, which is the 300. You multiply that by 70%, which means a 30% discount. Okay. Minus, subtract repairs that you think it needs.
And that's based off of judgment.
Based off judgment, yep.
Or off of, like if you're in the construction business,
Yeah, but mainly judgment, because we're typically, the way that we're doing things is we're pretty much buying houses over the phone, so we don't really go in and we can't make a good judgment inside, or we can't get a quote or anything before. So judgment. So it's the price, the full value, 300,000 times 70%, minus the repairs, and then minus what you want your wholesale fee to be. That's a very basic formula. That doesn't work for every property, but if you follow that formula, you'll pretty much guarantee your success 90% of the time. In Orlando, Miami, Broward, Palm Beach, Tampa, these good markets, it's typically more 300,000 the value times 80%, 20% discount, minus repairs, minus your profit. Because the market's hotter, typically homes don't sell at such a big discount. But probably Kentucky, it was Kentucky, right? Yeah. Probably Kentucky, you can get away with 70% because it's not such a saturated market like Miami. Miami typically is probably 85% because it's so crazy here. Does that make sense? You guys following me? I know there's some numbers and percentages, but
yeah, and the formula is definitely different from wholesaling and fix and flip.
yeah, for fix and flip, you can take away the wholesale profit piece.
And it basically gives you the same.
It'll give you, you just won't make profit. But one of our rules is we always like to make offers on properties for wholesale, number one, then we can fix and flip it.
Yeah.
If we can wholesale it, I want to flip it. I don't want to just buy a house knowing that we're just gonna flip it, because that just leaves us one exit strategy. So if something hits the fan, and you're a little stuck. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're getting it at a discounted price.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight from wholesaling, so you got a bigger profit margin on the fixing fee.
Exactly. So you win both ways. Or if like last minute you're gonna close and something happens, you need all your cash. You're like, okay, I could just wholesale and make 10 grand, and I'm good. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's a
So 300,000 times 70%
that's what, 210?
minus what?
Minus repairs.
Repairs, but, you know, I just
So
mix with a-
put like 25,000, and then minus whatever you want your wholesale profit to be. So let's say
And that's exactly what he bought it at, pretty much.
210.
minus. Yeah. So let me borrow funds to do that. So we got 300,000 times 0.70 is 210, right?
Mm-hmm. And then minus 25.
Minus repairs. Let's say repairs are 25,000. That's 185. That's what he bought it at, so it's perfect. But for us, we need to make profit. So
150.
Corey made 40, so he's like, he got greedy. So I'll make 40.
I started at 130.
He started 130, even greedier. As well. 145 was the offer price. To be like fair, like our average wholesale fee in our company is $20,000. It's about 19,700, but 20,000. So 40 is a great deal. The 20 is an average
That's
deal.
per deal.
Per deal.
Right. How many more or less would you say you close them up?
Probably around 10. Yeah, so about $20,000 per deal. Some will land at 7, some land at 30, and it just ends that way. So does that make sense? You guys following me here? I know we're going all over the place, but
No.
I want you guys to ask away as many questions. The goal for me, for you guys here, is just to walk away with maybe a better understanding and maybe a little plan of what you would do next. You know,
So
if
the
you do
farther away, the better it is to, in a way, to do these deal things, or it's a virginer
Yeah, correct.
or it's market.
Correct. It's easier. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The nice thing about Miami and Broward is that if you get a discounted deal, you make a lot more profit.
If
Yeah, like our average profit here in Miami is like 35,000. You do a deal here.
if you can find one, because these people is like
Correct.
everybody and their mother.
Yeah, it's harder to find one, but you make more money, so you kind of have to pick your poison. You know. I like Orlando as a market. I like Lakeland. Pensacola is a good market in Florida.
Sebring.
Sebring's okay. I like Spring Hill, Melbourne, Palm Bay. Those are like all markets that we're hitting pretty hard.
Still doing nationwide?
So we're not doing nationwide per se, we're doing 10 states. So we used to do 35 states, and now we're doing about 10 states.
Hold up, let me write that down. Let's take.
We got, I'll tell you, I can't remember all of them, but I'll tell you as many I can remember. Florida, Georgia. Let me pull up my sheet and I'll show you.
It's like hot market. Like
Yeah, so Georgia, Las Vegas, so Nevada, Texas, Tennessee, North Carolina, New Jersey, Idaho, California. We don't really do Iowa. I don't know how we got this Iowa deal, but Iowa.
Gotta be somebody living there.
We got one in Brooklyn, which is pretty cool. Brooklyn, New York,
wow.
and Virginia.
You should buy and hold there.
I know, it's actually a really interesting property. So Markham got this. Who would have thunk it? Like I don't know. I've been to New York maybe once in my life.
Where's this in? Where?
In Brooklyn, New York. See, it's this house right here. Cool little house. We got it for. I'll tell you the numbers here. We got it for $450 and it's worth $700. It's built in 1930, brick. 4.2, new roof. The seller inherited it. Inherited by seller, needs updating in the kitchen, bath flooring, and the attorney needs to review it. So So what we do is that, like, remember how I showed you guys that Sell My House Fast Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
So we do that in 10 states. We have our Google marketing, right? We have our Google marketing turned on in 10 states, and we bid, then it's called pay per click. So you pay per click, and it's a bidding system. Whoever bids the highest at a certain time of the day wins, and if you win, you're on the top. That's like, it's a little complex, but that's the best way I could explain it.
So you bid
Yeah,
to be on top.
correct. Like, let's see. You see, so like, Sell My House Kentucky. Maybe if I refresh it, it might even change. Let's see. See, we buy house.
Oh wow, it did change.
It changes every minute, so people are bidding all the time.
So this
So it's-
is something that, as a wholesaler, you can't do all the time. You definitely gotta.
You have a certain budget that you're comfortable with, and
No,
then
but
you,
like you yourself can't be on top of this. You would have to give it to somebody else.
as far as like the marketing side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I mean, you could, but this is not something that you monitor every minute though. Like, you set a budget, you set the states or the areas you want to be in, you set up like the words in your website, and then you just let it run. It changes every minute, but like, that's what Google does. What you do is you just say, I want to put $500 a day on Kentucky, and then it just does it. It just does it what it does. When your $500 runs out, then I go on top, like that.
For these wholesalers, you guys are getting a contract in other states. What happens if you have a buyer that's like, hey, I want to go see the property? How do you kind of set that up?
That's a really good question. So he says in these other states, you get under contract, like let's say Brooklyn, and a buyer wants to go see it. You know, we're not there, no one's there to like protect our deal, right? If a buyer goes, he can meet directly with the seller, and you know, it's all over. That happens a ton in Miami, by the way. Surprise. I'll save you the suspense. But anyways, what we do is that we hire a person in that area, and we get on the phone with them and we tell them, hey, this is our property, we have it under contract to purchase. We hire a random person on Craigslist. We just put on Craigslist, gig offered, like I don't know if you guys heard of that, gig offered. It's like a job offered. We put a job offer on Craigslist.
Oh, okay, what's that?
A job offer on Craigslist for $50. And when somebody applies, we'll call them and say, hey, look, what we need you to do is go and take pictures of this property, and you're gonna meet this buyer, and your sole purpose in life today is to not let this buyer speak to the seller and to take pictures. If you do that, we'll give you $50. And if you do that well, we'll give you many more properties and we can make money together. That's it. And then, honestly,
So
that
they
works
do,
pretty
like,
well.
They do a walkthrough, or it's just outside?
No, they do walk through inside. So the runner person, the job offered person, he'll meet the buyer. We'll give him like a little script and we'll coach him a little bit. And he'll meet the buyer, shake his hand, say, okay, follow me. Walk in the house, show him the house.
Like a 2-hour gig for $50 sometimes.
Yeah, not even. It takes like 45 minutes max. And walk in the house, walk out, and that's it. Up to now, we've had very little people stealing our deals. Maybe 2 out of 50. Out of 50 deals, maybe 2 will get like, the buyer will find his way, go back after, whatever. But my COO, he's an attorney, so typically if somebody does that, he'll send them a letter demanding him and stuff, so they get the log. So we take it pretty serious, obviously. But that's the way we do it. That makes sense? A little creative. We've been through a lot of struggles. We've had a lot of deals been taken away from us, so we've kind of had to find ways to maneuver. I mean, Miami's happened a ton, but
And it's, you could take legal action on something like that.
yeah, of course. Because remember, a contract is legally binding.
Right.
So it's been happening to us a lot, actually. Like, actually New York too. Like, well, no, not him. He's fine. Let me think. This one, North Carolina, Wilbur. We got it for $155. We kind of had it sold for $179. We were gonna make $24,000 on it, but then he's like, "Oh, I signed a contract with another lady," and I'm like, "Fuck." So we could take legal action, but unfortunately, like sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. It really just depends. I try not to think about it too much, because if you think about all the wrong that can happen, you'll never start. The best I would say is get contracts, do your best that you can control, and sometimes you just can't control what other people do. Sometimes people sign for less than we bought it for. Who knows? You can't control people. So the best you can do is the best you can do. If you're ever getting in a situation like that, you just hit me up and I'll send you our paperwork that we use to like scare the buyer and stuff, and scare the seller, and that's kind of the best. So yeah, these are some of the deals we're working on. What else? So that was a good fix and flip question. What are some of like the goals you guys have? Like, what are some of the things you want to achieve in real estate? Maybe I can help you like get started or get on your way there.
Well, for myself, I kind of just want to buy a property and rent it out.
Okay,
I really don't want to flip it or sell it.
nice.
So what suggestions do you have? In today's market, actually, it's so difficult. I mean, how are investors, like maybe myself, just a regular person, to buy a property right now with these properties being so high
Yeah.
that I could be able to keep it and get it, rent it?
Yeah, if you have a little bit of like time on your hands and maybe like a little bit to invest, I would try and like find a deal yourself, like go direct to the homeowner. Kind of like what we're showing here, right? Like we've gone, all of these houses, we've gone direct to the homeowner, no agents,
Right.
just me and you, So that means when it's just me and you gotta give me a discount. You don't have to pay commissions, there's no closing costs, there's none of that. So if you have a little time, a little bit of money to invest in, or to make some calls or whatever, I would try to spend a couple hours doing that and see if you can find your own deal in an area you want to buy. But if not, I'd highly consider thinking about finding a private money lender or a hard money lender to get on your side and buy a home cash, either from a wholesale list. So there's lists that exist that are like people like me, that we find a bunch of properties. We have to sell these properties that we get, right? We're not keeping them. So we have to send it to investors like you. And there's lists that exist in Miami that you can find off-market discounted deals. The catch is you gotta buy them cash or hard money, private money. Does that make sense? Like you can't go conventional FHA or anything. So the strategy in this market to buy a house in South Florida for you would be get a hard money lender, which I could refer you, I'm sure you can find somebody. You put 20% down, it's a high interest loan, you can't get scared, but the goal is you buy cash, you buy a cheap property, fix it up, then you take it to a bank and get your money out. And erase that hard money loan of high interest, and then now you keep a 4% or 3.5% loan. You follow me?
So you have a list of people that when you buy these properties, you can flip it quickly.
Yeah.
That's what we would have to find.
Or we would be on your list
Correct.
for us to be able to buy it.
Yeah. You would get on people like my list. I just don't do many deals in Miami, so I'm not like the best person right now if you want to buy in Miami. But like, let me show you one in Miami that's like a friend of mine. Yeah. So just so you can understand, a hard money. Let's say you want to buy. What area do you live in, or
Well, I live in Hialeah.
Hialeah? So let's say you want to buy a property in Hialeah, like an investment property.
Right.
Say it's like 350 grand or something.
Okay.
Let's say you find one on a list for 300,000,
Okay.
but it's worth 380, right? All fixed up or something, which is pretty. You can find that. So instead of going to Wells Fargo, Chase, etc., you will go to hard money lender, like a loan shark for real estate, and they'll say, okay, you can buy this house for 300, but you have to put 20% down, and I'll put 80. So you would have to put on that house 60,000, for example.
Okay.
The interest is going to be like 10%, something like that, 10 to 12%. But remember, this is not something to keep forever. This is something to keep maximum like 6 months.
Right.
You're just doing this to buy a house that's worth 380. You're going to buy it at 300.
Okay.
There's an 80,000 gap there. It's the only reason you're using this loan person. You're going to purchase it. You're going to put the 60. Let him put the 240. you're gonna make the monthly payments to him or whatever. Maybe you spend another 20 or 30 fixing up the place if it needs, whatever. Then you rent it out. Then once you have that done, maybe in a month or two, then you go to your banker and say, all right, I got this property, 123 East Hialeah Street. It's worth 380. I bought it for 300. I want you guys to appraise it so you can give me a loan. And then that process should take you like 5 to 6 months. Does that make sense? I guess I made it sound a little easier, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a quick question on that.
Yeah.
So basically, that's a burst strategy, right?
Yeah.
Is there a time limit from purchasing the property to be able to refinance it with like conventional money? Like, do they
If
say-
you're doing it under your personal name, no.
Okay.
That's like, so you asked me a little earlier about the personal and the investment
Right.
name. So if you get a loan from like your bank, from Wells Fargo, Chase, whatever, under your personal name, they typically don't make you hold the property for a certain amount of time. What he's asking is, because if you're gonna like, let's say you bought it under an LLC company, if when you go to finance that home with a bank, usually the bank will say, hey, I'll give you the financing at 4% interest, but I want to see that you've collected rent for at least 3 months or at least 6 months. So then it sucks because you got to pay your hard money lender, and then there's this. But if you do it in your personal name, they'll usually refinance it right away. It's more of a banker question. Like, obviously I'm not a mortgage person, but from my experience, I've done a few of those and they've all happened quickly. So in this market, in Hialeah especially, that's probably the best way that you're going to be able to buy an investment property right now. You know, it's a little bit more cash. You're going to take on a little bit of risk with the 10-12%, but you'll get a discounted deal. And then the bank usually gives you 75% of the appraised value. So 75% of 380.
Yes,
So like, look, this is a list that went out today. See a 3-bed, 2-bath in Miami Gardens, 330. Homestead, 247. Miami Gardens, 325. Where is this? This is like South Miami, 359. So you can like
Oh, look at that one. That's a 5-bedroom?
5'2",
Where?
249.
Subterranean.
Gold mine.
Okay,
No, it's
347.
and look at the wood. And how much?
249. But you see, these you gotta buy cash or hard money. There's no other way. So yeah, like you get a list like this. I'll give you my email. I'll forward you this list.
That one's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like you see, like little weird duplexes, $299.
Oh no, that would get
What? That's not like a single.
Look at this duplex here for $379.
Let me ask you, from your experience being in the real estate market, what do you? I mean, these prices have just gone wacko. It reminds me similar to the bubble that we had back in 2007, 2008 when the
Yeah.
market crashed. Do you think we're gonna see that again?
The bubble like that?
Something's gotta happen.
Yeah, I think something's gonna happen. I think I do think though, unfortunately, housing in South Florida in general, single family housing, I don't think it's gonna take much of a hit. Just because the supply and demand is a very simple supply and demand curve. You know, we need about 4 million houses built in the US to meet the demand, and we're building like 500,000 a year. Like we just can't even catch up. Like we're not even close. So even if the market shifts, the dollar goes crazy and whatever happens, your worst imagination, people still need to live in houses. There's gonna be a huge percentage of people that need to buy a house because there's not enough rentals as well. So the housing demand is so high. What's up, man? That I don't think that the prices are gonna drop too much. You know, there's a lot of different factors, but that's kind of like my analysis of what I've seen. There might be a little correction that maybe this house, instead of $329 in a year, you could buy for $295. I don't think it's gonna go down to like, you know, $150 type of thing.
Makes sense.
It's just too much demand, and there's way too much money in the market. Hedge funds, people, and it's just foreclosures. If you see like the chart of foreclosures, some people are like, yeah, but what happens with the foreclosures?
Oh, okay.
Like
That's
if you
a good question.
look at the chart, in 2008, our foreclosures were like up to here.
Yeah.
Right now, our foreclosures are like a blip, a blip. So even if we had like times 10 foreclosures, we'd probably be like this, compared to like this. There's now foreclosures because most people who bought millions of homes are cash buyers. Hedge funds, most hedge funds these past 2 years have bought in 500,000 homes, all cash. So there's no foreclosures for them. So it's a different type of product, a different type of buyer in this game. So I think it's a smart idea to look for an investment property for all you guys. I think it's a smart idea. I think even if the market takes a little blip, it's in the next 7 to 10 years, you'll be happy you bought an investment property. Rents are going to continue rising. It's just, there's no stopping that.
500, 600
Yeah.
going up per unit.
Question, I don't know if you know about rentals, but I remember years ago, I used to have some rentals. And if I wanted to increase my rent, it was limited. I think it was like, you could only do like $100. Now
Oh, yeah.
they're increasing like $600.
That's
How
shot.
isn't there a law that you have a cap?
That's a good question. In Florida, it's pretty much whatever you put on the lease. There's some states that have a cap. New York has a cap. Florida is pretty liberal with this stuff. They're very business friendly, landlord friendly. So it's really whatever you put on the lease. And there's so many ways around it. Like, you know, you can just break the lease. You can find any little thing that tenant did to be like, oh, the lease is not valid anymore because, you know, the house is pink and it was yellow and I gave it. There's just like a billion things. So more of the story is there's some kind of laws, but in Florida it's a lot more lenient that you could raise around $600 if you wanted to. Yeah, Florida's a great place to have rental properties. So that's a really good question. I mean, are any of you guys thinking of being landlords one day, like renting properties and stuff? I hope all of you guys. Yeah, I hope all of you guys. It's a great, thing. Any other questions, guys?
So kind of different from the current topic, but I'm curious to know, right now for 2022, what are like your top marketing channels that your company's focused on right now to bring in new business? Is it all PPC, or what are like your top 3 that you're focusing on this
Very good
quarter?
question. Yeah, Google is number 1 for sure. That like sell my house fast. If you just think about it on like a very basic level, who would you rather talk to? Someone that wants to talk to you, or someone that you approach cold? Right? You want to talk to someone who wants to talk to you. So if somebody puts sell my house fast Kentucky, well, they want to talk to me. They searched me. So we want to talk to more of those people. So Google, number 1. I really like direct mail. I stopped doing it for a while, but I'm doing it again. So direct mail is just, remember that list we spoke about from PropStream at the beginning? You get those names and addresses. You can send that spreadsheet to like what's called a mail house or like a printing store or something. Say, hey, look, here's 500 names in Hialeah. I want to send them a postcard that says, sell me your house. And you can send postcards to these people. You probably get it from realtors or or Best Buy sends postcards and things. So same thing. You can mail and say like, I want to buy your house fast, things like that. I like mail. And so those 2, and then text message marketing I still like. And we might try TV advertising towards the later end of the year. So I can't really say that I know too well, but I know a lot of people killing it on TV. On like Jerry Springer ads and shit. So one day you guys see my face, you'll know. So good question. Yeah, marketing is really important. Nobody knows you're buying houses, and it's very rare you're gonna buy a house. This is really like this wholesale business that we're talking about, like all this stuff. This is really not a real estate business. It's a marketing and sales business. You're finding leads, you're finding people who want to sell through Google, through calling, you're finding them, and then you're just having a conversation and it's a sale. You're looking to see if your offer can fit for them and if their house fits for you. So if you kind of go in that mind frame, marketing first, sales, the real estate comes later. Makes sense?
How long would you say it took you to create a profiting wholesaling business?
Man, I was profitable from the first deal. Yeah, like the beautiful thing about wholesale, and I love that question. The beautiful thing about wholesale is that if you do it cautiously, you shouldn't really like spend too much money to make the money back. You understand? So for example, Corey, I think we calculated it. It cost him about $2,000 to get that deal, between buying this, buying that, phone numbers, the prop stream thing, about $2,000 in your credit card, and then you can get a deal. So at scale, so to answer your question, like from the first deal, you should be profitable. If you're not, that's okay. No need to stress. Happens. So then you just, think, okay, I got $6,000. Okay, I spent $6,000, so I'm breaking even. Okay, what can I do to make more money? And then you just go slowly, right? As you go a little bit more, the $2,000 per deal goes a little higher because you start spending more money on Google, mail, etc. So right now, we're a little bit high. We're like around $5,500 per deal for our company. On expenses, marketing expenses to money in the bank. So we spend $5,500, we make 20. That's like, those are our economics of our business right now. But really, where we should be at is about 3,500, make 20. So it's always like you have to improve somewhere. But in the beginning, if it's just you two, if it's just you, between $2,000 to 2,500 per deal should be like where you're at. You should spend $2,500 and make at least 10, 6, 8, 10, something like that. In the beginning, your spreads are going to be 20 because you're learning it, you're figuring it out, you don't have buyers. But then as you go, your profit should go from 6 to 8 to 15 to 20, and then you start making more money.
And you did mention the fact that it's not, the wholesaling business isn't exactly real estate. So let's say you go to open up an LLC for the wholesaling business.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want it to be confused with real estate. What would you substitute the?
No, when I say that, it's more just like it's a mental thing. Like it's, you can name the LLC or you could have it listed as a real estate company for it. That's fine. Good. You got some good footage, Kai?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it must be.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect you to film the whole time.
That is some CNN footage.
I just saw you hustling there, so I just let you be. So yeah, guys. I mean, if you ever want to reach me, you can. If you have something to write with, I can give you my email. It's the best way to reach me.
So you would be the guy that, if we find the deal, could find us the person to buy the house that we found the deal with.
Right.
You're the
I'll be the middleman.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. Got a deal, got it. Ooh, who do I give it to?
Yeah, exactly.
What do I do? I gotta get rid of this.
Yeah.
I can just see her face like, now what?
Yeah. It's an exciting moment. It's
Yeah, I
exciting.
know, the exciting moment, but the exciting moment you want to get rid of.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the best day you buy a boat.
Yeah.
Day you buy it, and day you
And
sell
they
it.
sell it. Yeah. Exactly. So some like little note on that. When you're, let's say you're driving around, you call people, you meet somebody who wants to sell a house, messed up. You get to the point that you're writing a contract up to make an offer. Make sure you put in an inspection period. There's a part in the contract that says inspection period. Put an inspection period of at least 15 days or more. That period is what gives you the out if for some reason you got it too much, for some reason you didn't find a buyer. You can, within those 15 days, you can cancel the contract and lose no money. If you put 15 days and on the 16th day, you're like, I need to cancel, Sally, you could get your money, but you could also lose it. So just keep that in mind, if you get to that point. And yeah, so I don't want to see any of you guys lose any money. So my email is, it's my last, so it's bolufe.raul@gmail.com. You could also, yeah.
Or find out what the person wants to sell it for, I guess. Before you.
No, I mean, you could find out what they're selling for, but I don't really care that much because like, we could pay what we could pay. If they want $1 million, our offer's still roughly the same. So, although you can listen to them and say, oh, you want 200? Okay, cool. But like, your process has to stay the same. On Zillow, you can just see. You type in the address, you see like the little yellow dots around. What have they been selling for? Okay, all of them are selling for 450, 425, 417, 480. Okay, so let's say 450 is the number. okay, times 80% minus repairs, then you could start there. And if you get that close and there's something like brewing, you can just email me and I'll help you out. I'll help you like say, hey, look, this is what I would offer,
Right.
and I can help you through it.
Don't get him that upset. I feel like.
Like if someone can cold call, do you need cold callers or if someone wants like, or do you hire cold callers?
You
or-
could. Yeah, you could, like, for instance, Corey cold called himself to get the first deal for like a month, 4 hours a day. But when we used to do it, we used to hire cold callers in Mexico for like $5 an hour. So if you have like a little bit to invest, you can hire them. Or Colombia.
Like for myself, if I want to cold, can you hire me or like are you looking for someone
For
to?
like cold callers, we're looking for salespeople for our company. And for the people in our company, we don't really require cold calling. Like we give you leads and then you call them.
Oh.
So that's how we can help you, which, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, Kai's here, he's the one who does that. So if you guys know anyone who's we just got a new office in Coral Way. It's huge and we have like 20 spots. We have 8 salespeople now, so we're looking for a few more. We provide the leads. It's really doing this, buying houses in 10 different states. So if you know someone that might be a good fit that's like sales or anything, email me or reach out to me or reach out to Kai and we can talk to him and give him an opportunity.
Provide the leads, the marketing, and essentially the training to get your first deal.
Yeah.
And then the goal is to get it in 30 days or less.
Yeah. So that's something if you guys know anybody.